hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Most of us blacks, or Negroes as he called us, really thought we were free without being aware that in our subconscious, all those chains we thought had been struck off were still there. And there were many ways where what really motivated us was our desire to be loved by the white man. Malcolm meant to lance that sense of inferiority. He knew it would be painful. He knew that people could kill you because of it, but he dared to take that risk.
He was saying something over and above that of any other leader of that day, while the other leaders were begging for entry into the house of their oppressor. He was telling you to build your own house.
Who is the black man?
The black man in the West has ceased to be black. Not of his own volition, but he's actually been stripped of his blackness. He has been stripped of the language of the black man. He couldn't speak the language of his own people. He had to speak the language of strangers. And today, he speaks the language of strangers. He knows nothing about the indigenous language of his people prior to being brought into the Western Hemisphere. He has been stripped of the black man's name. He has been stripped of the black man's culture, and actually also stripped of the black man's history. And just as a tree without roots dies and becomes dead, when a people become stripped of their history or their historic roots, they also become a dead. And for this reason, the condition of the black man in the Western Hemisphere has been that of a dead man. And this dead thing was also dehumanized. The slave masters robbed us of everything that we could use to prove that we were a part of the human family, the black family. And this is the condition that our people in the West are in today.
The struggle in the States between the races has always been bloody, but it has been one-sided. The Negro has been doing most of the bleeding. But I believe he's beginning to feel that bleeding should be reciprocal. It should be done equally on both sides. Everybody should bleed. If the Negro is going to bleed, everybody should bleed. And I think he's beginning to see this, that it should be equalized.
The struggle of the colored peoples of the world against the forces of Western imperialism and its agents has been going on for a long time.
Yo, 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 yo. We are back at it. It's Thursday night. Maybe we're a minute or two late. Maybe we're not. But we're here. And that's the important thing. Welcome back to the No PC Show. It is Thursday night, July 18th, 2019. And I just want to have a discussion tonight because there's just been a lot going on in the news. And if you're on the Facebook side, you can come over to the No PC Show on YouTube. Just type the No PC Show, all one word, or click on the link that we've provided for you. Click the notification bell, click the subscription bell, and you will be notified when the show starts, because a lot of times we show things, and if you are not on this side, then you won't see the things we're showing. A few of the things I want to talk about tonight. Let's start off with, it was just the anniversary of the Eric Gardner death, and They were showing it all on TV and the killing. But again, your the Department of Justice decided that was not something that we really wanted to send these good people to jail on. I mean, the nigga, he did stuff in his life, so the Department of Justice, which for some reason can never seem to get it right when it comes to black people, I don't get it. But they said there was nothing there that they could really follow up on a federal level that said that these officers intentionally killed him. That was just a factor that he had health conditions, and if he had not resisted, he would not have been taken down in such a manner. And these good officers now can go on with their lives. And then that sparked the bringing up of things in the Tamir Rice case, where they still haven't come to a conclusion on that. But the one of the officers in the case was fired, not for the shooting of Tamir Rice, but he was fired for lying on his let me give you the exact statement here. Timothy Lohman was fired for having lied on his job application and not disclosing that he had resigned from his previous position as a police officer in Independence, Missouri, to avoid being fired for insubordination, emotional immaturity, dishonesty, and a mishandling of his gun. So this dude had already, and this all came out, had all this going on, but was able to make a judgment call. They put him out here on the streets and let him make a judgment call against a 12-year-old black boy. Now his partner was also given like a suspension for not following procedures because he drove up on the grass, which was, I guess, a violation of procedure. So he had to go get suspended and go to retraining classes. But again, the Department of Justice, they've been investigating this for the last few years. Can we get any federal prosecution in that? No. Of course, we got the Mike Brown case. Of course, we got the case here in Chicago with Laquan McDonald and the acquittal of these three officers that admitted to lying. And I guess they're saying, well, the DOJ is saying, well, y'all got some justice, the man going to jail, even though that the judge needs to be investigated because he just threw out all the 16 counts and went with the lower count. And we sit back and we enjoy this. Also, recently in the Sandra Bland case, and I'm sure they must have had this video all along, but they never, the defense apparently hid this video and didn't produce the video. And now the video has surfaced, but this man is going on with his life. The video clearly shows that he is in a confrontation with her. He's the confrontational one. What's up, Brandon? He's the confrontational one in this. He escalates the whole thing, and nobody is going to commit suicide when they waiting on they judgment day to come on some BS. So I'm saying all this because I want everybody to realize, we play this Sleeper Cell song at the beginning and kind of at the end of our show. And it talks about being asleep in the war zone. I don't know if we really recognize that we are basically in a war. One of the clips I showed at the beginning of the show shows what the black people were going through back in the 50s and 60s and prior to that, dealing with the Ku Klux Klan and Jim Crow laws and all these other laws, and being beat down and persecuted in the streets where your government waged a war against its citizens, and we still sitting around like we some sleeper cells or something, still expecting these people to do right by us. At the end of that clip, and I didn't get a chance to pull out the part I wanted, it talks about the Chinese and how they were not getting their respect when Chairman Mao stood up. As they say, it only takes one brave man to stand up. And he stood up, and they developed a plan to put the Chinese back into its grace. And over decades, and people might not like the way that they did it, they took some necessary steps with the drugs, and they kind of knocked off a lot of people that were on the drugs. And they set things in place, and within 3 decades, they became a world power. And they have nuclear power, and they have negotiation power, and nobody looks at the Chinese out the side of the eye no more, where they can look, but they got power, so it don't make a difference. So that brought me to the point of what are we doing? Other than always finding some workaround to not stand up, to not get ourselves together. I do believe we have too many people fighting for the wrong cause. And there's so many of us think that our cause is the right cause. You need to fight with us because our cause is the right cause. Yeah. If your cause isn't the total uplifting of all black people, then your call is not the right call. I get into debates sometimes with people, and we talk about the responsibility of the church, and we've talked about that on the show before. And yes, we love God. We love that higher power. But these same people say they love God too, and that they love this higher power. And sometimes, I know as a Christian, you're not supposed to separate your church views from your life views, and you're supposed to lead this life for Jesus and get your rewards in the afterward. Otherwise, you're not really living the word. When you go outside your own mindset and start thinking for yourself, okay, brother, you're not living the word. And it's going to take all the black people in the world to live the world for your condition to change. Is that a fair option? I don't know if it's a fair option. It's just a question. Recently, they had some pastors, and I found out about this today, and I was listening to the Mays Jackson show, and I was looking at this online. And they're talking about these pastors that have come out against Kaepernick and want Nike to cut Kaepernick off because they don't think his his agenda is wide enough or whatever. They want him to endorse some other things other than the Bessie Ross shoes. I can see where maybe a bigger platform could be necessary somewhere along the lines. I wish he would have said more when he had the momentum before he took the deal with Nike. But our deals that we get seem to be not contingent deals where it's going to allow us to grow and hand off onto something else. All their plans are contingent on the continuation of the system that they have put in place. So, okay, you come out and say, well, I don't think you should have these sneakers. Okay. then we don't have those Snickers. Okay, well, and that just becomes, what can we do to appeal to black people that's going to keep us getting black people money? Isn't that the way the system works for us? And only for us. We spend so much time pleading with these people, dancing around these people, asking these people for things. And they come right along and they dangle stuff and they say, well, the stuff that happens in your neighborhood doesn't happen in our neighborhoods. And regardless of how your situations came about in America, we're not responsible. In Mount Greenwood in Chicago, there was a flyer that went around saying we will not have white guilt. Then you saw the clip on the news of the white dude telling people to go back to Mexico. I really don't spend a lot of time being concerned with the needs of other groups because they're not concerned with our needs. And you can call that anti-Christian or you can call it whatever you want to call it. I call it focus. The only way we're going to solve the problem of black people is for us to come together. And there's a whole bunch, like I explained to a young militant one day, the young lady, I said, we don't have an army to fight, even though we're in the war, because a large majority of our army works for them. Another part of our army is incarcerated. So who's left to fight? Then there's another percentage, they don't want no part of the fight because, look, we just trying to live and get along. We ain't got time for all that. We happy with what we got here. But then all the little small groups still pop up like the ADOS. They're trying to get reparations because people don't seem to understand. This has to be a real fight for black people. Why didn't we get it back then? Because you all were hanging us back then. You were killing us in the street back then. I just watched the documentary about the Kennedys and their family and how they kind of pandered to black folks for the black vote, of course. So that has always been out there. Pander to the black folks and tell them you're going to give them this and you're going to give them this. And those niggas going to be happy and they're going to vote for you. And then you ain't really got to do nothing for them. We sit around and we accept that behavior on a constant basis. And no matter what they do to us, we still take the seat at the kids' table. The name of the show tonight was The Conformity of the Black Man in America. Your seat at the kids' table. So, growing up at the kids' table, yeah, you're going to eat. But everything you eat is controlled by the adults. We the kids in America. Because we don't have that connection to a country or anything that we can team up with. I was thinking about something today, and I was like, okay, it's about 44 million black people in North America. There's about 100 million black people in South America. That is also a big continent, and a large majority of slaves were dropped off there and in the Caribbean. So when people be talking that, well, it wasn't that many people in slavery. Yes, it was. That's how many people slavery affected. Now, I don't know what the count of the Jews is. The Jews say 10 million. I don't know. But we know there were between 65 million and 100 million slaves moved in the slave trade over 2.5 centuries. And that's all we should be concerned with. But that's not the way politics. No, politics is what has got us into the situation we are now. You got this situation with ASAP Rocky over in Sweden. I saw the video and I saw these dudes, following him around and provoking him and all that. But he kind of missed the understanding it as a black man, because he made a statement a few years ago about Ferguson and all that. Fuck that. I'm just concerned with these bitches and hoes and smoking my blunts and making this music. Fuck all that shit. I ain't no politician. But now he's looking for a politician to help his monkey ass get out of that situation. Hopefully he'll get out and, he'll come back with a different view. And he'll understand what it means to be a black man in this world, not just in the United States. He got provoked into a situation. And I think that was one of the biggest things in the civil rights movement and before. They wanted to kill us. I think they had a plan to kill us. They had no intention on being fair from the moment we set foot on this continent. So from 1865 to 1965, these white people in this country bust our heads, sick dogs on us. There was one video, I didn't want to see it no more, because where it's 3 white cops on an older black woman's, throw her down on the ground, knock her down to the ground, and then stand on her. They had no respect for anything. And they said, we allowed this to happen. Well, what are the choices they have? So when you talking to people and it's different generations and every generation is pointing to the previous generation for their failures. I was born in 1965. So that was when the black people got their rights. Oh, we got our rights now and we're going to be able to do some stuff. No, you still weren't able to do things. You can only do what we allow you to do. That's basically what they said. Because we're the gatekeepers and you all are not. So when we decide to come to your neighborhoods, we'll put some plans out there and say, well, there was a $10 million economic plan for your area, and none of you people applied for it. Ask people that have gone through it how much this and this and this and this and this, all this tons and tons of information that you got to pull out your butt in order to have any type of business in the neighborhood. And you're amazed because you look across the street and you say, I don't believe that Akbar has all this paperwork that they're requesting from me available. Are they using the same system? Because the art of war just says win. It doesn't give you a definition on how to win. If it says change the rules to win, if it says destroy a group to win, if it says appeal to another group to win, because that's the schematic. Come to America, avoid the black people except to get their money. Your government is actually on your side against these people still. They just, they're getting smarter with the legality, so we got to be more careful. But it amazes me that a lot of times the only business we have, and it's no knock because these are our staple businesses, our beauty shops, barber shops. That's about it. Those are probably our most productive businesses in the neighborhood. Now, I have a computer shop, RPC Computing, where your PC is our PC, 1741 East 71st Street, 966. Well, let's start. 773-966-4457. We're open at 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Except on Thursdays, of course, because I got to get down here and do this show. But I was told, maybe your business, that's not for this area. Now, every area you go to, there's a computer store. But in the black plighted area, no, there's no need for a computer store over here right now. But we're spending money and we're investing and we're bringing new businesses into the neighborhood. And then we'll need a computer store because the people that will be here will want a business that reflects them, because you're black and you're pro-black and you got all this black stuff in your store, and it could be offensive to white people, and we don't want to offend Whitey. We want Whitey to, when they come, the money comes, the conditions come, the conditions change. I live in the neighborhood, and it was probably predominantly white when I moved into this neighborhood. And then over the years, the white people have left, and it was probably around the time of when the market crashed. Now, the market crashed, 2008, into 2007, into 2008. We're at 2019 now, so 11 years ago. My property value has not gone up. And you want to know why? Because the white people moved out, and our people moved in. And just like that red line system, they've got a system of devouring your homes and keeping you locked in, paying higher taxes, higher rates. And we don't realize we're in a war zone. We are in a war zone. And when you're in a war zone, you got to behave like you're in a war. You got to behave like you're looking for survival. You don't have time to placate with other groups and plan with other groups and feel sorry for other groups, because these groups aren't feeling sorry for you. They're not teaming up with you. They're not trying to make your life any better. They're doing the basic thing of life. It's about survival. So all the people at the border, they're trying to survive. All the people that come from other countries, they're trying to survive. And what they care about our survival could fill up a thimble. So that's the first plan. We got to realize we at war. They at war with us, even if they don't call it war. So our mentality has to change, or we're basically. I tell people all the time, look 100 years in your mind. Try to picture 100 years ahead of what it's going to look like to be a black person in America. Because ever since we got here, at one point we were 100% employed. And every year we're going down, down, down. And what are we going to do? You can have all the plans in the world, but if you don't have a way to execute the plan, you don't have the finances, you don't have that reparations. So when all your good friends want to talk about the conditions, scream out reparations. Well, if you people stop shooting yourself reparations, if you stop doing reparations, well, we don't know what reparations look like. We do. We do. And it sounded crazy way back in the day when Elijah Muhammad was asking for a certain amount of land or states that black people can move into. But now it's sounding more and more like a reality that people could get with. And I tell people all the time, the reason you won't get reparations is because if they give us reparations, they know we're not going to be fucking with them like this. We will develop our own nation within a nation, and we will become a direct competition to America. And that's what they don't want. And that's the bullshit that keeps this thing going on and on. The distractions with the racism, with all the bull crap at the Department of Justice, all the bull crap in the White House. It's all designed to keep you niggas in your place. Love, peace. So, we out of here.
Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove
I
you.
refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Now,
If you're woman, ain't no revolutionary should persuade you to be a fucking slave for the rest of your days. Should be grooming you on how to behave, teaching you how to coon and buck dance so that you can be safe. If that brother ain't no rider, soldier, a bitch. Think about the time that you invested in him. If he's wearing them skinny jeans, you a lesbian. For every 100 black women who ain't locked up, it's only 83 black men remain. Take away 1.5 million black men who might have benefited their women and their children. You don't know a war when it's waged against you, when it makes you drive your baby mama to the clinic just to kill your own. Ain't no legacy to leave behind, cause ain't nobody sitting on your throne. You motherfuckers are asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't stop, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, you asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't fight, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, nigga. Sandra Bland was a rider. She wouldn't have committed suicide, and you a motherfucking liar. It would not be wise to stop when you hear sirens and you see the police behind you, but you don't wanna die. They gon' shoot you if you run. They gon' say that you was going for the police gun. That's why they shot you like 120 times, but you was still coming, so they put another bullet in your lung. Them devils got you praying while they murder, because they know you on that bullshit. They steady with them bull clips and body armor. They kill your women in the street, cause they figure you too weak to do anything about it. You some shit, getting fucked in your sleep. They poison you every time you brush your teeth. You don't care, you behave like a slave. A bitch from the cradle to the grave, on your knees with your hands out, begging cause you want to. You motherfuckers are asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't stop, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, you asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't fight, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, nigga. Freedom or death, nigga. Fuck that. Freedom or death, nigga.
If you just listen,
Freedom or death, nigga. Freedom or death, nigga. Freedom or death, nigga.
you ain't getting a warning. Until now, you're going to jail.
I'm getting it for what?